Hi, my name is Lexi and welcome to my YouTube channel. So before we get started, I want to say that I keep promising that the next video is going to be my color consultation, but I haven't gotten it yet. So I'm supposed to be getting it literally tomorrow, which if you were watching this should be today. I'm supposed to get it Friday, and I just didn't think I was going to be able to get the analysis, formulate my opinions about it, and then also film it and also edit it all in one day. So I've decided to go with a different video for this week. And it's something that's been on my mind and pretty much taking up all of my free time lately. And that is getting rid of stuff. So you guys all saw me, I did a, big clothing declutter. Off camera, I also did a declutter of my accessories and unmentionables. And then I've also been decluttering my house. I did something called the minimalist challenge, or the minimalist game, where you start, day one, you do declutter one thing. Day two, you declutter two things. Day three, you declutter three things, etc., etc. By the end of 30 days, you have decluttered, I think, almost 500 items, but I decided to keep going. My house is jam-packed full of stuff, little stuff. Whenever I've done declutters in the past, I've always focused on the big stuff, like my clothes, my books, maybe cleaning out the camping supplies, something like that. But every little drawer had papers and paper clips, and just it multiplies. So I've been doing that too, and that's been great. But that means that I've been spending a ton of my time just getting rid of stuff, and not getting rid of stuff as in the actual picking out what to declutter, but finding a home for this stuff. That's something that's so glossed over right now. And, we're all focusing on decluttering. And I think a lot of that is because we're stuck at home, just looking at our stuff. And we're like, why did I buy all this stuff? And you just want to get rid of it. But it's not so easy. Now, I could just load everything up and take it to Goodwill. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that because a lot of stuff that could find good homes gets taken to Goodwill as a way, how do I put this? It's a way to throw things away without feeling that you're throwing them away. It's a way to just be I don't care what happens to it, it's gone. And I get that. We are all, in modern life, we're all expected to do way more than, I think is really reasonable. We all, most of us work, whether that's in the home or outside of the home, and in addition, we maintain our homes, and a lot of us do this without the support of an extended family structure, say people would have had 100 years ago, where your whole family lived under one roof, your whole extended family, or on the same block, and you guys shared these things and you help each other out. Now we all do it ourselves, and we're all expected to be Martha Stewart level bakers, Pinterest level craft makers and party throwers, and just the pressure I feel of modern life is that we're busier than ever, and we're expected to do everything picture perfect for social media. So it's really tempting to just be I don't have time for this. I'm just going to get rid of this stuff. So I'm not judging anybody who does that. But I myself, especially with having to spend so much time at home now and not having a social life, I myself want to help my things find better homes. And in the meantime, I make some money too. So that's a win-win. I've probably made a few $100s so far getting rid of my stuff. So let me break it down how I do it. So the first thing that I do is I go through all of my clothes and I pick out the stuff that I think I could sell individually. And mostly that's via Poshmark. I have sold a few things via eBay, a few homewares, part of my home decluttering, but that hasn't always worked out. In my opinion, eBay is just so rife with scammers that, good luck, right? Good luck with that. Yeah, I've been scammed as both a buyer and a seller. Let's just put it that way. But I still have sold some things before, and you would be surprised at the things people will buy. So if you guys have watched this channel from the beginning, you know that I've talked about how in 2020 I did a no-buy year. One of the things that really cemented that I needed to do a no-buy year was that at the end of 2019, I bought myself a Gucci belt. I still have it. It's completely, and that was girl, you just spent $700 on a belt. I think you might need to stop shopping for a while. But so I have the belt anyway. But someone bought the bag. The shopping bag. It came in a dust bag in a box in a shopping bag, and I sold the box and the shopping bag for $25 on eBay. So you would be surprised at what people will buy. So you can sell a lot of stuff that you wouldn't think, but mainly when I sell things on Poshmark. So I pick through the things that I think that are, their name brand, because Poshmark is a hellscape, guys. There's no, how do I put this? Listings never expire. So someone can go to Goodwill, buy like 20,000 items, post them on Poshmark, and then die in a car accident, and those 20,000 items will be listed in perpetuity. So if you're looking at like fast fashion brands, if you're looking at Topshop, things like that, that stuff's not going to sell as well. I have sold a couple things from Topshop because Topshop, they make like really cheap quality stuff, but they do make some higher quality stuff that like would be worth buying secondhand. But like your Forever 21 stuff, you're not going to be able to sell that on Poshmark. So we'll address that next. But for right now, I'm talking about the name brand things that like, oh, these pants were $150 and I wore them 3 times, right? The stuff that is actually kind of the hardest to declutter because you feel like you spent so much money on it. It's so nice. You don't want to get rid of it. That type of stuff. But I've also sold really super ripped up vintage clothes because there is a market for that. There is a market. But it's really easy to list it on there. And I'm not like Poshmark sponsored. I just found it's better than any of the alternatives like Depop. So then what about all the clothes that you don't think will sell on Poshmark? So I'm talking about your fast fashion. I'm talking about your stuff that's like worn out, or not worn out, but just like shows signs of wear. So I approached that a couple different ways. Personally, I have made lots like, hey, this lot of punk clothes for $20. And, someone bought that. Or I make cute outfits and I sell them. And sometimes I sell things for literally $3. And since Poshmark takes $2.95, I'm making 5 cents. When I'm selling something, I feel like if someone's going to pay $3 plus shipping for it, they want that thing. And so it's going to a home of someone that wants it. It's not for me necessarily about making money. But also a lot of times when someone sees, oh, this is $3. Oh, this is $3. Oh, this is $3. And then they'll grab like other items that you are selling for maybe a little bit of a profit. I think I made like 85 cents on things before. I wanted to find a good home. And if someone's intentionally buying it, it means that they probably want it. And it's probably not going to end up in a landfill. So that's another thing. It's just like, don't be afraid to price things super low. Poshmark gives you a prepaid label that you can put on any box. You can also go to the post office and use the flat rate priority shipping boxes with your Poshmark things, even though it's not a flat rate label. It says on the label that you are authorized to do that. So those small boxes, they fit a t-shirt just fine. Like go to the post office and get free. The medium-sized boxes that aren't square, they're like long flat rectangles. You don't even need tape for those. Those have stickies that just close. So do what you got to do and sell what you got to sell. But there's always going to be stuff that's like not worth selling on its own. So I like to put those things in lots. And I'll put an example of like the most recent lot that I sold. So that worked. You just have to be careful that the package doesn't weigh more than 5 pounds. That package did weigh more than 5 pounds, and I had to pay out of my earnings $9 extra, which I did not think about beforehand. So I actually made like $8, but I don't care. That stuff found a home. Maybe there's some punk rocker someone somewhere who wants some ripped up clothes. Now, there's going to be stuff that you can't sell via Poshmark. So you're going to list it and no one's going to want it. What do you do with that? Well, what I have done in the past is I have rented a booth at a flea market. So what gave me the idea first is that there was a community garage sale going on when I lived in a neighborhood that was like really dense in all apartment buildings. In the park, they had a community garage sale and you could sign up. I think it was like $20 to have a table. And I just brought all the clothes that I hadn't been able to sell. And I had a clothing rack I borrowed from a friend and a little table. It was a bunch of homewares too, like little accessories. And I was like $1, $2, $3. A couple of the things were more expensive, but mostly it was really cheap. And that gave me like, that was an amazing idea. Now, the clientele I had at that were definitely like, it was more like garage sale type clientele looking for those types of like prices and items. But that gave me a really good idea. And I took it, the next year, I rented a booth at this thing that in Seattle called the Punk Rock Flea Market. And I sold a ton of stuff. We set up a booth. We had a ton of my clothes, my fiance's clothes. And that was the sort of crowd that will pay extra money for like clothes that look worn, clothes that look beat up. They like that. So then we made, I think the booth was $250 and we did $600 in sales that day. But we also like traded things. The hairbrush I used in my last video, it's like vintage, made out of like natural bristles and celluloid on the back, that I traded for like, I think a pair of shoes. So yeah, don't be afraid to pay a little money out of pocket to rent a booth. Now, obviously in current climate, I don't know that that's really like an option, but it will be again someday to have an option to have a booth at a flea market. So that's another way. And then the third way, if you don't have time to list, because this takes like, listing takes a lot of time. You have to take a lot of pictures. You have to describe it. You have to, sometimes you have to take measurements. You have to look up information on the brand. And then for pricing, personally, I don't go with what I think it's worth. I just look at what it's sold for. Because people aren't going to pay more than what it's sold for recently. So I look it up. If you poke around the app, you can find out when you like do a search, you can change in the filter, you can change the results to sold items, and you can look at things like that. But there are always, like, let's say you just need to get rid of this stuff. You don't have time to list it all. There are a lot of places that will take bundles of used clothes and go through them and take stuff. So that's like your Buffalo Exchange, your Plato's Closet, places like that. If you have items that are like vintage, band shirts, or just like vintage clothes from the 70s or 90s clothes are really big. Like if you have old clothes in the back of your closet from the 90s, take those to more like a vintage store. A lot of vintage stores have programs where they'll either straight up buy it from you for cash, or they'll sell it for you on consignment. So that's a really good option, and I've definitely done that. And it was like really rewarding one time for me when I had personalized a vest and sewed on like leather panels, and I decided I didn't like the vest, and I sold it to a vintage store. And then like a week later, I saw it on the mannequin in the window, and I was like, that's cool. They like my vest. They like my handmade vest. So that was rewarding. But so these are all ways to get rid of it. But there are always going to be clothes that no one wants for any price. And then my last resort is donating to Goodwill. And I do donate quite a bit to Goodwill. There's stuff that I have donated to Goodwill in the last couple weeks. There's, and some of that's just like, it tends to be more homeware stuff, like old dishes and things like that. But there are clothes too, because, including old socks, because Goodwill and a lot of other places like that, Salvation Army, St. Vincent de Paul, Value Village, a lot of them do fabric recycling. So stuff does end up in the landfill, but not all of it. Some of it does go to fabric recycling, and this is used in home insulation. And I can speak and say from experience that I know for a fact that some of those clothes get cut up into rags and bundled into bundles and sold to the Navy, and I'm sure a lot of other ships, to use as rags down in the engineering plants to clean oil and things out of the bilges. There was one time when we found like all the scraps of a sweater, and I stapled it together and wore it as a joke for like, I don't know, 20 minutes. And another time where we found rags that had our like commanding officer's favorite football team on them. It was like from an old shirt or something. And so we like saved those for the day when he was doing his inspection down in the plant. And we were like, oh yeah, this is just the rag I'm using. It just happens to be Ohio State. So if you do donate clothes to Goodwill, or you have clothes that are worn out and you're like, this is garbage, instead of throwing it in the garbage where there's a 100% chance it's in the garbage, you can donate that stuff to Goodwill for fabric recycling. And so that's what I do. So anyway, this is just a short video today, guys. I would love to hear how you declutter stuff. If you just take it to Goodwill and you let them go through it and make the money and for charity, because that's like valid, they do make money for charity off that stuff. Or if you have a special way that you like to sell stuff, I'd love to hear about it. I'm always looking for new ideas, new places to offload my junk. new homes for my stuff, I should say, because that's the goal, right? So thanks for watching this week. And next week, I promise, well, I can't promise, but next week, I really, really hope to have my color analysis done. Well, thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Let's go on a date.